Welcome to the Tesla Economist. Please hit the thumbs up and remember to subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter and talk to me on Patreon. Oh no, Toyota invested in hybrid and hydrogen as clean energy. They missed the entire BEV boat. Now they're in big trouble. Sure, Toyota bet on the wrong horse and it's cost them, and will continue to. It means they will be late to the game. But it's a big game, and it's a very long game. Remember, Toyota is actually the largest ICE car company in the world at around $250 billion. Out of all other legacy companies that claim to be spending $20 to $50 billion on their EV expansion, partnering with battery companies to build cell factories, well, Toyota is the one that could afford it the easiest. However, Toyota is more of a budget brand and is known for low cost. An EV has a minimum fixed cost if you're looking at around 300 miles of range. A battery for that capability would cost around $20,000, at least I'd say. There is no getting around that. Well, unless you design and develop something like your own in-house 4680 cell, although you can reduce costs by at least making in-house prismatic cells. Then there is the cost of the car on top of that, along with advertising, dealers, and all the rest. Oh wait, and profit. Yeah, ideally you want some profit too, and that needs to be bigger than before, as there's no longer all that associated revenue from maintaining ICE engines. This would end up meaning that consumers would have to pay about $50,000 if an electric Camry was made today, which is why it won't work with Toyota's brand when an electric Volkswagen or Ford is about the same price or less. Oh dear, we've discussed similar situations in the past, how there is this fixed cost, somewhat of a hurdle that every EV must pay, the battery cost. And as this is somewhat a fixed cost, then the relative cost of the battery becomes much higher with budget brands. E.g., a Porsche battery might be 15% of the total cost of the car, whereas a Toyota could be 50%. Makes it harder, doesn't it? Luckily for Toyota, there is a solution, but it means going in the opposite direction of some of their existing branding. Toyotas are known for being fuel efficient with hybrid systems and can get a lot of range off a tank. Toyota have to flip that and end up becoming the EV that offers a low amount of range. What am I talking about? As if I have to tell TE viewers, but I will anyway. Toyota have no choice but to opt for LFP cells in their batteries. And we've been hearing reports that Toyota might partner with BYD and their Blade battery for this new model, the BZ4X. Obviously, BYD's Blade battery could be an ideal solution for Toyota, at least for now. If I was Toyota, I'd be building a 200 gigawatt hour cell factory right now. It would only cost about $15 billion, probably less in Japan, and it would also be Japan's chance to once again show the world how capable they are when it comes to manufacturing. Although LFP is still nothing close to the production speed of 4680, they are a much safer form of battery, and thus a lot easier to manufacture. Given the Japanese manufacturing abilities, I would say there's a chance that Toyota could have a supply of cells similar to Ford or GM by around the early half of the second part of this decade, despite leaving it so late. LFP will definitely sacrifice range, but perhaps within time, Toyota can improve the chemistry and use structural battery packs. Remember, they aren't about to change all their cars to electric tomorrow. They'll start with one model at a time, and each time the battery tech is improving. I would hope so much so that eventually Toyota could get something like 250 miles on an electric RAV4. I think around 250 miles should just about do it. In fact, Toyota are starting with an EV similar to a RAV4, a crossover style design. Toyota is saying they're getting up to 252 miles of range from their new BZ4X, according to their website, although it is accompanied with the text EPA estimates not available at time of posting. This was just for their front-wheel drive version. The all-wheel drive seems to be around 228 miles. Another source says ranges are WLTP, which would actually equate to 224 miles of range for the front-wheel drive. This would compare with Tesla's range of their standard range Model Y in China getting about 230 miles of range EPA, although Tesla achieves that with a battery size about 12 kilowatt hours smaller than Toyota's 71 kilowatt hour battery. Oh, and Tesla achieved that with LFP cells. I'm actually not sure if the BZ4X is using LFP. I mean, judging by the range they get and the BYD partnering, you might assume that, but other sources say Toyota might be partnered with Panasonic on this as well. The BZ4X seems to get an MPGe equivalent of 119, which is better than the Ioniq 5 at 110, and then the Tesla Model 3 rear-wheel drive LFP with 132 MPGe. Toyota and Hyundai are, however, still ahead of the Mach-E GT, coming in at just 103 MPGe. This makes me think that it's likely that the BZ4X is using nickel-based cathode cells. If Toyota went down the nickel path, I think they have left it far too late and will likely end up on top of the bankruptcy list. I see Toyota with only one option to have the potential to succeed. They need to position themselves in the market as a low-cost legacy EV. Toyota need to build their own LFP factory with about 200 gigawatt hours capacity. Sounds like a lot, a big factory. In fact, probably a little bit bigger than Giga Nevada. Not Giga Nevada today though, no, Giga Nevada if it was complete. Toyota's factory would probably end up needing to be about 4 times the size of the current Giga Nevada. That may be a larger footprint than Giga Texas, which also has a 200 gigawatt hour battery capacity. Oh, and the headquarters of Tesla, along with 2 massive production lines, and it was built in close to a year. But this would end up coming to only enough cells for 3 million vehicles. Granted, it will be LFP, so there shouldn't be so many issues with nickel. I think we might start seeing LFP batteries from the likes of LG, SK Innovation, and Panasonic. The question is that will they wait for Tesla to reveal their LFP batteries first, or will they just decide to do their own beforehand? Either way, it might end up making more sense for Toyota to even buy Panasonic's battery division. I mean, Panasonic is only valued at around $20 billion. It's not a huge company. And perhaps being LFP, Toyota can ramp up that much faster, that perhaps in 5 years they may have caught up, or even overtaken the other legacy autos EV battery supply. But the real point is that for Toyota, they may not need to be in as big a rush as the other legacy autos, as it's possible their hybrid vehicles may still do well, and are thus able to fund and support Toyota's transition better than, say, General Motors. Anyway, like I said, 3 million cars a year. Therefore, Toyota would need to build 3 of these gigantic battery factories to have enough batteries to replace all their ICE vehicles, assuming there was still as much demand. With gas prices increasing and more consumers wanting to go electric, there'll be less demand for ICE cars, but likely even less demand for more expensive ICE cars. If electric cars are too expensive and gas prices are too high, then consumers might end up moving over to Japanese autos, like Toyota, due to the fact they're also fuel efficient and have minimal running costs. So the consumer looks around, sees that a new Chevrolet is going to cost far too much to run, but EVs are too expensive still, or there aren't enough available yet. The consumer then thinks about getting something relatively low in cost in the meantime, until electric cars become more mainstream. Oh wow, we are back to the historic events of the 70s and fuel crisis and the Japanese flooding the US with low-cost vehicles. A large part of the Tesla community thought that this was actually going to be Chinese EVs flooding the market, but I've been vocal about that from the start and find it very unlikely it can happen. But history repeats, or rhymes as Mark Twain likes to point out, and it may very well again. Only this time, the US might be flooded with low-cost hybrids from Japan. Once again, I assure you there is nothing coming from China to flood the US with cheap EVs. I'm trying to squash this narrative as it really has skewed a lot of people's overall perception of the EV industry. Chinese EVs are overrated in the industry, along with cell phone handset companies like BYD. The gas prices are a serious threat to the US automakers, on top of everything else. This is feeling like a likely future. At the end of the day, Americans still need cars, even if they can't afford the domestic market. Toyota's hybrid market may even grow. Within time, if Toyota took this path, they could have their cell costs down to about $75 a kilowatt hour, possibly even less. But the cost savings relative to the cost of the vehicle start to dwindle somewhat after that. With a 60 kilowatt hour battery, that comes down to about $4,500, probably at the pack level. If not, then I'd say at max $6,000. For an electric Corolla equivalent with that battery, probably getting around 200 to 250 miles of range, then that could work. It might take them 5 years to reach this level. And remember, Toyota do have the Lexus brand as well. Ideally, this is the brand they should have been making electric years ago. It's a prestigious brand that can carry the price tag of nickel cells. So where are the headlines that Toyota invests $50 billion into an EV battery factory? I mean, that's the playbook for legacy autos, isn't it? Well, as far as I can tell, Toyota only appear to be in the plans of one battery factory, and only a $3.4 billion investment in the US. I think they may have a bit more to do than that. They certainly appear to be moving slowly, getting into an industry where timing is of the essence. Remember the whole exponential growth thing associated with EVs? Well, it takes a long time, even if you can take some shortcuts with LFP cells. Panasonic is likely the best battery manufacturer for Toyota to partner with, given that they are both based in Japan. Panasonic obviously has all the EV battery and cell experience with Tesla too, although Panasonic were producing NMC batteries. I would think they shouldn't struggle too much to also produce LFP cells. It's much easier in manufacturing compared to nickel cathodes, due to how much safer LFP is. I mean, Panasonic isn't actually that big a company really, especially given it is an EV battery manufacturer. If I was looking at other companies to invest in this industry, I probably would look into the other battery manufacturers, perhaps someone like SKI. Cell manufacturers are making profits, unlike the EV manufacturers. Perhaps Toyota could just purchase Panasonic's battery division. This really is very late in the game though for Toyota to only just start really thinking about batteries and EVs. Well, they did get to sit on the sidelines a little and watch the industry progress. At least now it's easier for them to know which area to invest. But it's still a big lag compared to Volkswagen. But this is Japan, not Germany. Things get done fast in Japan, but they left it too late, remember? All the minerals are already taken, or so expensive. Yes, lithium costs more, but there's very little lithium in an electric car. Higher lithium prices may have only added a few $100 extra to the cost, but what about the shortage of all the other minerals? Well, Toyota may be alright, as they're using LFP cells and thus not having to compete with all the other legacy autos chasing cobalt and nickel. Also, the fact that LFP cells are so much safer than NMC means that they are easier to make and can be made faster and ramped up faster, as we're witnessing in China with CATL and BYD. Of course they can build their fabs that much faster in China too, so I think Toyota can possibly catch up. Oh right, all these Chinese EVs, the low-cost EVs that will take over the world, we were told. Well, what if Toyota does that instead, and Toyota become the low-cost EV? I bet Japanese manufacturing lines can do a really good job in getting a basic enough car produced. If anyone else was capable of getting an EV into volume production, then Toyota might be who my money's on. Toyota has something that the Chinese don't know, a brand with lots of goodwill. If there was a BYD EV and a Toyota EV, everything else equal, the majority of consumers will buy the Toyota all day long. It's a brand they know and recognize and trust. Essentially, it means that Toyota can likely price their EVs a few $1,000s higher than the Chinese. Oh, wait, wow, a few $1,000s extra? That's about all that most Chinese EVs need to get to that break-even level, implying Toyota could have a path to break-even. Toyota has its product mix. They know what their customers want. They just want an electric RAV4 or whatever it is. Toyota have done such a great job carving out these markets. Tesla don't need to remain competitive with Toyota either if they go this path. Perhaps an electric RAV4 will be $15,000 less than a Model Y. Toyota's main job will be convincing their customers that you no longer need all that range. Toyota has also partnered with Tesla in the past. They have been perhaps somewhat complacent about Tesla too, but they're catching on now and realise how truly spectacular job Tesla have done, which means I think there's a good chance that Toyota might adopt Tesla FSD. I initially dismissed most of the Japanese legacy autos as they totally dropped the ball on electric. However, there is a chance that they may actually make it. Their ICE, or hybrid business really, could outsurvive most of the other legacy ICE businesses due to offering lower cost efficient vehicles. It's just not quite the same step change as going to electric, but there simply aren't going to be enough electric cars to go around for everyone, and people still need something. If Toyota sacrifice range of their cars to reach the necessary price point, then I see them having a real shot with EVs, provided they invest big enough. And I'm very excited about their electric future, but I think it's solely dependent on going with LFP. If they choose nickel, I think they'll just be too far behind for too long, unless they have the ability to fund that loss, which they may possibly will. Thanks for listening. Please hit the thumbs up and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter and talk to me on Patreon.